Hi everybody, it's Linnea. Welcome back to Whimsy Stamps for another Friday Frenzy feature. Today I'm going to be mixing the brand new Slimline Scenic Countryside die set with some older stamps and some pattern paper. So I'm going to start by cutting off the two border dies from this Slimline Scenic Countryside die set, and I'm going to run the frame and then all the little inside pieces through together from some white cardstock. I wanted to have a white frame, and I find it easiest to add color to the little houses and horses and trees and whatnot with copic markers. You could definitely add some color with ink blending or even just die cut from colored or pattern paper. I also cut out the two border dies from some white cardstock, and that's just going to give me some snowy hills and borders. Okay, so I'm going to just start coloring these in with a few different colors of copic markers. I'm going to be using mainly browns for the houses. I kind of wanted to keep this to a traditional little Christmas village scene, like kind of like you're looking at the village from far away. And my slimline scene is going to have lots of hills and bunches of little elements here. So I'm just going in with some copic markers, really easy coloring. These little houses and trees and horses and everything are small, so they're easy to color. I'm not doing a whole lot of blending, really just keeping it to two markers for each color family, and sometimes I'm not doing any blending at all and I'm just using one color. I really don't think you have to go all out with the coloring and the blending here. I think the little details on the houses really provide a lot of interest. So I'm just coloring right over, and I'm coloring on my glass mat. If you want to color on a piece of scrap paper, that's fine too. But this way I don't have to worry about coloring off of my little papers and onto my work surface here. So I'm just finishing up here with the trees, and I like using copic markers specifically for things like the trees and the roofs on the houses. I don't have to do any masking because I can just color, kind of like you're coloring in lines, but there just aren't any lines. So I find markers the easiest way to do this. So once I'm done, I'm going to start kind of building my scene here. So I'm going to use the Starring Hearts paper pad, and I chose a background paper that looks like snow. Now the stamp set that you see on screen, I was thinking of using a sentiment from that for my card. I ended up switching it out, and I really am happy that I did because I like the finished card project. So I took those two border dies, and I had cut them from a piece of white cardstock that was 8 1/4 inches long, because at first I thought that I was going to be doing a horizontal orientation, but I switched it to vertical. So all I did was just take that piece of white cardstock that I had cut, and I just trimmed it down to be about 3 inches wide. That way it can stick right behind my 3 1/4 inch wide frame. I'm going to add some foam tape, so this card is going to end up being quite thick. I'm using a thin foam tape, but still this is going to be thick, so when I'm mailing this, I'm going to probably mail it in like a cardboard mailer or a bubble mailer, something like that. But I am adding some foam tape between each of the layers of these hills, and I'm alternating between the sloping hill and that wavy hill. And so once I get all these done, I'm going to use my scissors and just trim off any extra that I have. And then I will add that Starring Hearts pattern paper background, and look at that, that's like a ready-made sky. I'm going to add my frame on top of that, and then I can start building my scene. So right now all I'm doing is I'm just going to plan out where I want my elements to go. I'm not gluing anything down. This is basically just me playing around, seeing what pieces I have, and laying them out and making sure that I'm going to be able to create a cute little scene. So on the sloping hills, I'm going to be putting the houses, and then on the kind of wavy hills, that's where I will be putting the trees. It just looked better that way. You could definitely switch it up if you want. Totally doesn't matter. Once I got everything arranged, I can start gluing them down onto my card. I did go ahead and just cut out some little strips of yellow cardstock, and I matted that behind the houses so that it looks like the little windows are lit up. This is a completely optional step, but I think it really gives a lot to the scene, making it look like more of a nighttime scene with the windows and the doors lit up behind the houses. I'm just using liquid adhesive. You could definitely go ahead and add all of these with foam tape, but that was kind of a tedious job for me, and since I already had a lot of dimension with the hills, I thought that I would just use liquid adhesive. Okay, so now I'm going to do my sentiment. I'm using the You're My Jolly stamp set. This has become a staple stamp set for me this holiday season. I love how there are these big scripty words with smaller print type sentiments, so you can build a sentiment. I'm going to be using 2 of those large script sentiments, and so I have Christmas wishes, and I'm just going to add some foam tape behind the center of these sentiments and a little bit of liquid adhesive on the sides, and I'm going to have this fun little scripty sentiment. All I did was stamp it in red ink, and then I just used my scissors to kind of trim around and bubble cut around those sentiments from the You're My Jolly stamp set. And then I'm going to have this bridge across the top of my frame from the Slimline Scenic Countryside die set. And so that's it. Thank you for joining me for this Friday Frenzy video. Be sure to come back next week for another project where I'll be mixing old and new Whimsy Stamps products together. Thanks for joining me. Bye.